Welcome everybody, my name is Michael and today we hear cicadas. And I absolutely hate this because cicadas have been out since May. It's September. When are they going to go away? Noise ordinance and cryptocurrency. Today we're talking about crypto mine. So I looked up cicadas and noise, and just out of curiosity every couple of weeks I look this up because I wonder when are they finally going to disappear, because in Poland you didn't really have cicadas. Well, one of the first news articles was about noise ordinance laws in North Carolina due to a cryptocurrency mining operation that sounds like a jet beam. It is insane because people have houses 100 yards away from this mining operation, which again, in crypto, is just a bunch of computers and fans, and that's really it. There's nothing crazy going on. You don't have a construction crew with a jackhammer, and yet you have tons of these noise complaints, not only in North Carolina, but all over America, in more rural areas where, first of all, electricity is cheaper and maybe regulations allow for more outside than they would in cities, and taxes and incentives might be better for these companies. You've had countries that have banned crypto mining, such as China, and you've got these millionaires and billionaires who are looking for where can they mine next. And you've got a lot in Russia, but America has a decent infrastructure for this. Decent as in, yes, of course it can support it, but the money, the cost. So where can you go inside of the USA to pay less? Rural areas. If you go into farmland, then suddenly it gets better because everything's cheaper. It's designed for people like you who want to make a lot of money from crypto mining. And we all know that crypto mining is definitely trying to go greener, but for the next couple of years, it is going to be something that a lot of environmental groups are going to have a problem with. Personally, me, I could care less. But I do care about noise because I have sensitive ears, and I understand that if you're living in an environment where it's very noisy, your anxiety goes up, your chances of depression go up, your chances of mental disease and normal physical diseases as well goes up. Just take a look at all these studies of people living nearby airports or nearby railroads or nearby some depots where, trucks are constantly offloading. I have behind my house trucks offloading sometimes for the grocery stores not too far away. It isn't directly by me, but very, very close, as in within 50, 100 feet or so. Garbage trucks and everything, and yes, it's not going to be the whole day, but sometimes late at night that happens, and it's very annoying. But if something's on 24/7, such as you're living right next to O'Hare Airport and you have jets constantly taking off, that is something that's, first of all, going to cause your house to fall in value. People aren't going to want to move there. For example, me, and I'm sure there's others who not only have tinnitus, but are just sensitive to that and don't want to work remote at home with constant noise in the background. Your houses will fall in value. And for the people who are already living there, where maybe before it was nice and quiet and you could hear the birds and the bees, now you're having to hear jet engines, something like that, except constant, right behind your house. Especially when you go outside, you want to do yard work, you want to just chillax in the back, you can't because you hear the constant drone at night inside. It's driving people insane. So this is a very interesting article because in America there's a lot of things that get messed up. Anything from noise ordinance to the for-profit prison system bails, the insane healthcare system, overpaying for college. There's a million things that are wrong here. Well, just like with any country on this planet. But in North Carolina specifically, in Cherokee County, there's a company called Prime Block and some others as well who have set up mining crypto operations. And people who have been living in the area, some veterans, some with sensitive ears or for other reasons, that wanted quiet, that built their perfect home. One resident has built a porch outside where he would be able to work remote, and that's going to be his outside home office, except he finished building it a month before the mining operation started, and afterward he decided, you know what, I can't deal with this. I can't even go outside, let alone stay in the house. I want to move, and people are moving, except they're not going to find a buyer so quickly for their houses. One of the prime block executives said that he visited the facility during construction many times and said it sounds like an air conditioning unit. Well, maybe it's a little bit more than that, but he said he would try and address the noise complaints. He hadn't had any county officials address it so far to him personally, but they would try better soundproofing, which could help a little bit. One of the residents is quoted, "It's like living on top of Niagara Falls. His home is less than 100 yards from the mine. When it's at its worst, it's like sitting on the tarmac with a jet engine in front of you. But the jet never leaves. The jet never takes off. It's just annoying. It's just constant annoyance." And I can probably feel just through those words the anger and frustration you probably spent right now with home prices increasing. $200,000 on a home. You wanted peace and quiet, and you got the exact opposite. It's as if you have bought a house from where very close nearby they're building a mall or a new train yard or a highway. And this was complete news to you. You know, you knew nothing about it. So they've actually played some sounds, but it's probably going to be best or actually, let's just do it. All right, so here's bird noises nearby where there is no mine. All right, so those are bird noises, normal, nature, right? Gonna mute that. And then this is the Murphy crypto mine. That's pretty bad. So, and then here's another marble crypto mine. This one has different frequencies. It's a larger crypto mining facility. And it says this spectrogram depicts a louder environment across all frequencies, while the Murphy crypto mine shows a more uniform sonic environment with little variety. I don't know which one you'd rather have, but I'd rather have the first. That's not a mine. You know, you have nature and all that. So, although the Environmental Protection Agency established a noise pollution program in 1972 under the Clean Air Act, the agency has generally left noise issues up to state and local authorities, which could be a pretty bad idea sometimes. In North Carolina, noise control regulations are usually the responsibility of counties. According to the state's Department of Environmental Quality, North Carolina's Cherokee County, where the prime block cryptocurrency mine is located, has had a noise ordinance on the books since 1999. But locals say it's unevenly enforced and does not specify a decibel threshold, where decibels, it's very difficult because even if you have a device, some devices react differently. So your phone, for example, is a terrible, there's sound meters and whatever, but that's a terrible way to try and find out how loud an event is nearby. You have to have special microphones, and even then, it doesn't really reflect how noisy something is because the decibels might be lower from a distance away, but it could be such an annoying frequency where it still travels through your house and could potentially cause hearing loss depending on how loud it is. And sometimes stuff, now that I have tinnitus and I've gone through hyperacusis and I have sensitive ears and all this stuff, it is crazy what I've learned about hearing loss, that it doesn't matter that you might hear just fine and your hearing range when you take a hearing test is fine, because we haven't developed hearing tests yet for these other ranges, which do exist, but it's the very beginning of hearing loss, and we just don't have equipment yet. It's similar to how other animals might see different colors than humans. It is very difficult for us to understand that, but it does exist. It's not something that's, La La Land or whatever. A lot of us have hearing loss, and we just don't know about it. And many people are going to say, well, I don't care about that. Except it's nice to know, because then you're able to do certain things to hopefully stop it from eventually reaching a point where you will hear it. You will hear differences. And you might be 20 years old, like me, when I got my tinnitus and hearing loss and hearing aids, or you might be 80 years old. But most people towards the end years of their life will get it. And it kind of sucks, because I love cryptocurrency, but it's one thing that I could definitely feel the resonance on, that, maybe it's not probably the best solution out there. So let's just take a look at some other resonance here. So the first guy I was quoting was Mike Lugowitz. He moved to Poorhouse Mountain from Florida in 2005. As soon as they started the first container, we said, that's it, we're done. So they placed a sensor on the property. It captured noise levels roughly every 5 minutes over nearly 3 weeks. And nearly every reading, 98% of the time, day or night, decibel levels were above 55. About the noise of a normal conversation. So usually 55 is completely fine. For people with sensitive ears, things can get a little uncomfortable. 60, 70, 80 decibels, most certainly. 80 to 90 decibels. It depends on how long it is. You could lose your hearing with a crazy event that's 120 decibels within a 10-minute time period, or maybe 5-minute time period. Or if it's 90 decibels, but it's going on for 24 hours, you could lose your hearing as well. Even though it's a lower decibel rating, it depends on the time you're with it. And even though this is, let's say, 60 decibels, it's above 55. So let's say 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, whatever it is. By the way, for those who don't know much about this, I'm not really a smart guy, so I can't explain it that well, but it's logarithmic. It doesn't grow like, 100 decibels is double the sound that 50 is. No, it's logarithmic. It grows exponentially. So it's crazy to imagine. But there's decibel rating graphs out there that you can see how loud a jet engine is, a concert, and a lot of people joke around that, I was one of those kids where with the early iPhones, and even now, it tells you when you're playing music too loud. It doesn't tell you, though, that, hey, you're going to get tinnitus and a terrible screeching in your ears, but it does tell you above a certain decibel level that, yes, you can have hearing loss. So more than 30% of the readings exceeded 60 decibels, high enough that if they were in D.C., they would violate the city's daytime residential noise ordinances. Estimates from the National Park Service show that expected environmental sound levels in the area should be around 41 decibels. So again, it's not that, it's a little bit noisier. The difference from 41 to 60 is huge. It's logarithmic. There's a giant difference. It's not, a little bit, 20, 30, 40%. No. You're doubling, you're tripling, you're quadrupling. At that point, it's just a crazy difference. It's something that can get extremely annoying very quickly, especially if it's at night and you're trying to sleep. It's going to cause massive anxiety over time. This is over extended periods of time, and people are not going to want to live there. A former Park Service scientist who studied noise impacts on rural environments, Mr. Kurt Fristrup, studied noise levels around the houses where Mr. Lugowitz's home is, and he compared it to living close to a very busy road without normal pulses in traffic. Imagine 45 sedans traveling close together nonstop on a 3-lane road at 35 miles per hour. Nonstop. There's no lights or anything. That gets pretty annoying really quick. Mr. Chandler Song, a co-founder and executive and co-owner of PrimeLock, he serves as the company's Chief Innovation Officer. Ooh, look at that. A nice crypto title, startup title. Woo! Said that he had received no noise complaints from county officials, as mentioned earlier. He had personally visited the facility. About 200 yards from the site, we stood in front of the house to check noise levels. It sounds like an air conditioning unit in the yard. Every night it was like air conditioning. However, he said that the mine is building noise insulation walls and that most PrimeLock sites will adopt newer and quieter cooling systems in the coming months. So why does this happen? Crypto mining requires a huge amount of energy right now. It is changing, so it is getting better. Creating a single Bitcoin requires 1,556.99 kilowatt hours of electricity. It's about the same amount used to power an average house for 53 days. The crypto mining centers also need huge fans to keep them cool, especially in North Carolina during very hot summer months. At least 3 mines have opened in North Carolina's Cherokee County since 2020, but as there is no registration requirement for cryptocurrency data centers, the number could easily be more. North Carolina's Secretary of State's office, which regulates businesses in the state, said crypto mines fall under the North Carolina Utilities Commission and that the commission does not keep a registry of crypto mines. And local utilities simply need to approve the required paperwork, and local building permits need to be kept up to date, and that's that. And boom, you're able to have a crypto mining center if you want. PrimeBlock's Song said the company was drawn to Cherokee County because of an easy supply of renewable energy created by hydroelectric dams, as well as other things, probably, taxes and regulations. And it's a pretty long article, but later on down, you have veterans who are complaining. One veteran, Dennis Futch, he retired as a captain after 28 years in the Army. He served in Iraq, Afghanistan, Kuwait. He bought a place on Poorhouse Mountain, which, despite the name, has generally a lot of beautiful houses and a golf course not too far away. It's not poor. I needed quiet. I had to have it, and that is why I came. And, well, he certainly didn't receive that much. The lower temperatures at night in the mountains of western North Carolina also trap and amplify the sound. It's changed our way of life up here. And a lot of these guys attended town hall meetings, and they tried to see what could be done about the situation, and generally nothing can be done. Mainly it's a lot of people writing who had trauma for one reason or another, whether it was a military, or there was one complaint from a lady who was in a terrible car crash where the person who crashed into her unfortunately didn't make it out of it. Well, there's a lot of trauma, and she's forced to sleep with earplugs and very upset about the whole situation. She called the sheriff's department. They couldn't really do anything. Some people are getting used to the sounds, but most are very annoyed about it. There's a study done that if you live nearby an airport, if you work there, you kind of are less bothered by it because it's your livelihood and kind of grow up to be expected around it. However, it's more a sudden shock. Imagine right next to your house where you've lived there for 5, 10, 15 years, whatever it is, or you bought a brand new house, suddenly this happens. And maybe a small amount are not going to be bothered by it, but most are. Even if it's not like my situation where you have very sensitive ears, it's impacting a lot of things like home values and other things which could definitely annoy you. It could produce anxiety. It's not going to be a fun experience. So we are in crypto land where there's a lot of money. There's a lot of industrial, there's a lot of revolutionary ideas. And I think we should apply this towards crypto mining. First of all, what needs mining, some of these coins might turn to staking, such as Ethereum and whatnot. But for those who have to mine, there should be better technologies. We should invest in that. And I think it is definitely a possibility. So that's pretty much that.